Hey guys, Soulless Reviews here, still suffering hits from giving my honest opinion about the new Pentatonix record, and today I wanted to talk about the new Fall Out Boy single, Irresistible. Now, Irresistible isn't just your plain old single, it just so happens to be a remix of a song that was off of their album earlier this year, American Beauty / American Psycho. And for the remix, they've teamed up with the pop hit star Demi Lovato, who dropped her album just this past week, and I'm not exactly sure if there's any mixing going on this track, but if there is, I'll be sure to let you guys know about it when I get into the actual review here. Fall Out Boy has had a hell of a year, not only with a solid project, but they kicked off the beginning of the year with getting mainstream success with their song Centuries, and then after that song started to die, it seemed the mainstream started to pick back up with its song Uma Thurman that carried the summer and classified itself as a summer jam. So when Fall Out Boy put in their best work, it seems the mainstream recognized some of their best work and then popularized that track, which is something I have no problem with. But I guess the big question here is this remix of their original song going to be enough to put them back on the charts yet again? And I don't think that's their mindset. I don't think they're just trying to put themselves back on the charts. I think they actually wanted to seize this opportunity to work with Demi Lovato to create a better, or maybe even a more interesting version of that song. But along with this new single, I can't deny that there is a little bit of curiosity inside of me that wants to wonder, maybe this song is enough to make them end the year with a bang, you know? Make it so Fall Out Boy never really had a chance to fade out this year because they just had hit after hit after hit, but spread out enough to be that enjoyable. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am going to listen to the remix of Fall Out Boy's new song, Irresistible, and then afterwards I am going to tell you guys just how I feel about it. So they didn't really mix this track around. It's definitely the same instrumental, same production, which is good because I really like the production on this track overall, and if they would have messed with it, I don't know how it would have turned out otherwise. And because the song isn't different in that aspect, then I can go and tell you that the production that is the same between the two tracks is a very high point for the song. I mean, there are just some great instrumentals on this thing, I just really have to commend them for using. I mean, of course, you get your basic rock coding that adds the emotional pain to this track that kind of feeds across that theme of addiction. But at the same time, you're getting some nice moving bass, you're getting some nice subtle piano chords that are short right before the hook, and one of my favorite elements on here are like the battle horns that are carried out throughout the song that are most heard evidently in the beginning of the track. And not only is the reason I like that instrumental because it sounds so well, it's also because it adds to the theme of the song, and the theme of the song, for those of you who don't know, is describing a relationship that is very torturous and unforgiving, but at the same time have you drawn to that relationship because it's hard to live without that pain as much as it hurts you. Almost like a strange addiction. So, in a way, Patrick Stump kind of characterizes the song of him almost fighting with this girl in this kind of war to work things out with her because he loves her, but at the same time knows he should leave because of all the pain this relationship is causing him, but can't because this pain of the relationship somehow has him drawn into it. The whole aspect of the hurt that he's feeling from the overall relationship is what he's drawn to. And the battle horns, I mean, it's like battle. They did a good job having the instrumentals on the track actually relate to the theme of the song, and I thought that was something that was really well done, a great creative twist to the track, and something that some of you guys might look over if you're not actually looking into the theme of the song. But we are talking about the remix here, aren't we? I can't just rave about a song because of how it sounds, because the original actually did what that song did, and if that was the case, I would have just raved about American Beauty and American Psycho being a great album and having a great opener track. What I'm here to tell you guys about is what this track offers differently than the original track does, and in that aspect, it seems to not push as much boundaries as it should have. To an extent it does, and I'll get into why, but it also doesn't because of what I'll get into. So, like I told you guys, Demi Lovato is featured on this track, and although, I mean, the first time I listened to this track, I was really impressed with her vocals. I was like, she sounds really great over this production, she can hold her own. She showed how she can kind of progress over rock instrumentals on her own project, especially with the first two songs on her album. But it was definitely still a pleasant surprise to hear Demi Lovato proving prominent up against this production. But about my second listen through this thing, there was one thing that caught my ear, and that was when I was comparing the tracks together, when I listened to the original, then listened to the remix, it was that the lines sounded awfully familiar, and then when I pulled up the two lyrics on two different desktops, well, guess what I saw? It was that Demi Lovato was singing the same lines that Patrick Stump was already singing in the original version. And at first, yes, I was extremely disappointed. I was like, why didn't you give Demi Lovato any creative freedom? Why didn't you make her sing your lines? Why didn't you let her sing her own thing and commend your own track. I thought it was just a waste of a feature. I was a little steamed that they just kind of spat this out there, and I was kind of sad that they made her sing what they had already said. But then it kind of sank in a little bit, because the song, after all, is about a relationship between a man and a woman, right? And the lines that are being sung by Patrick Stump in the original version can be taken by the women or guy's perspective, because technically they're both drawn to the pain of the relationship. It's not just Patrick's male in the relationship who's feeling that way, it's the guy and the girl that are drawn to this kind of pain. So in Demi Lovato singing some of these lines and trading the lines in the original version with Patrick, it kind of showed that both the guy and the girl are feeling the same way about this painful relationship. They both want it, they both know it's bad for them, but they both want it to stay. Which I had to give them creative props for this, because they could have let Demi Lovato go on her own little verse thing and then call it a day, but what they did was make her sing his lines, and in doing that they showed that his lines can go both ways. They're not just biased to the man's perspective. So this track definitely wasn't as lazy as I thought it was. At first I thought they were just making her sing Patrick's lines because I don't really know. Maybe they just wanted her vocals but didn't really want her to write her own material, but that is not the case. They saw in their minds, they're like, we can offer a different perspective on the song by having her sing the lines I already sang. And they did that, and it actually came together pretty well. Now, granted, because Demi Lovato doesn't have her own verse or any spots where she is creative, she has some creative freedom, off the bat, it kind of looks like it's not pushing any musical boundaries in a remix of the original track. I think the idea they shot for and kind of succeeded in doing was good, but it didn't push boundaries all that much. Maybe if they would have done that, where she was singing his lines at the same time had her own verse, I feel like maybe it could have excelled even further than the mark it hit plainly. But you can't underestimate this track in thinking it was weak, because technically the perspectives that it offers, like I said, allow this track to be viewed as a very artistically good remix of the track. I really enjoyed it, even though Demi Lovato herself didn't have any lines of her own. So in the end, the original track, Irresistible, off American Beauty / American Psycho, was a very good song, especially for the production and the background, but when Demi Lovato came on, it offered a new perspective. It's almost like The Weeknd and when he remixed his The Hills with Nicki Minaj. It offered a different perspective of the song, except without giving any new verses to it. And because of that, I can give props to Fall Out Boy for choosing that way, because it's not something people would really see as a possible artistical choice, and they did, and they pulled it off actually pretty well. So if you're a Fall Out Boy fan, I would say go check this track out, because it's pretty cool. It's a new artistical turn to that track, especially if you like that track. And as someone who likes music in general, I would say yes, check this track out, because it's really powerful. It has some deep emotion behind it, and Demi Lovato on it, I think she pulls it off pretty well. Her vocals are on point. That's always something you can look forward to. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you would like to like or subscribe, that'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. And till next time, Soulless Reviews.